So my name is Santiago de Lope, and I moved to Toronto in 2005 to study my master's in physics, and then I continued with my PhD in physics as well. And I was looking for a place to stay, and it turned out that Knox College seemed to be a college where I could have some level of privacy and at the same time engage with students. It was a good balance, it seemed to me. So I applied for a room at Knox College, and I decided to stay there, right? And it was precisely at a house meeting, I think in late 2007, that Ralph Bunschke was there. He introduced himself, and he said, I'm the ecumenical chaplain. I have an office here. And he was very forward with the positive space stickers. So I knew, this is someone that I can probably talk to. Because since I came to Toronto, being away from Mexico, everything is starting new. I had to hold on to something that I knew. And that something was the church, because the rituals were the same, the readings were the same, and they connected me to that past, right? So it's like I'm not that far away from home, if you will. But at the same time, I had the issue of being gay and not being able to fully reconcile these two things. And so I talked to Ralph, and then he told me, look, there are a lot of people that are like you, and we have a little discussion group, and we're going to kickstart something. And it was not until next year where we had a first meeting. It was at Futures Bakery in the annex. It's a small group because I don't think this is for the masses. This is a very specific kind of project. It was a cold day, but not that cold for January in Toronto. I remember there was some sort of amount of sleet, not cold enough to be completely frozen. And I remember approaching Futures Bakery from the north side of Bloor Street and then crossing the street to the south. And in my mind, I might be wrong, but in my mind, that door, which is sort of on the corner, has blue and yellow, so wooden door. I thought I was going to be the first one, but to my surprise, when I opened the first door and then the second door, all the aromas of Futures Bakery came through immediately. It's sort of the typical kind of sounds that you would find in a coffee shop, but an old coffee shop where you don't have as many paper cups. The clinging sound between the cutlery and all the plates and everything, the people in the background washing the dishes, preparing, cutting a piece of cake. And I remember Ralph was on my right, and he was having a conversation with Gio on the left. I just can remember perfectly that Gio was pulling a pink book from Ralph. Gio took the book, and he had a smile on his face, but at the same time he was turning a little bit red, as if with those kinds of feelings where, you're proud that you got something, but you also don't want to show it. They were engaged in the conversation, and then I arrived, and I introduced myself, and we had a conversation. We had a conversation about the stuff that we were trying to reconcile, right? We went to this showcase of the movie For the Bible Tells Me So, which explores, within the Christian context, right? What are the intersections between sexuality and religion? Why is it that there is so much hatred allegedly justified from the Bible, right, against the LGBTQ community? And it was just quite eye-opening to see people say, well, this is where does this come from, right? There is nothing in the Bible that, that you can categorically say this is the law of the Lord, and therefore you should abide by it. There was absolutely no evidence of that, right? Some people, a lot of people within the LGBTQ community, they either go fully into the religion, and some others decide to cut completely the ties. There is very little room in between. A lot of my friends, sort of in the gay community, they say, well, why on earth are you going to go to church, right? I can't tell you why. Seems to me that sometimes, if you go to church, you cannot go to Church Street. And if you go to Church Street, you cannot go to church. It seems to me a little bit contradictory at times, right? So that's still a topic of conversation that is far from over. Because people say, well, you have to cut these ties entirely. Like, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't. I remember going to St. Thomas Aquinas. It was Ash Wednesday. I just finished one of my projects. I think it was part of my proposal, my thesis proposal that had to be defended soon. And I was just like, wow, this is an experience that I should be having, right? But at the same time, there was a little bit of discomfort in terms of engaging, right? It's like, yes, I'm going to come, but I'm not going to engage, right? How far should I engage? Should I volunteer to read some of the readings? Should I volunteer to clean up afterwards? Because the innocent question about, do you have a girlfriend, is going to come at some point, and how do you answer that question within a Catholic chapel, right? Without setting any bombs off, right? And then fast forward, I remember that, after all my experiences in Korean religion, some places you're going to be able to fully engage, and you're going to be able to say after Mass, yes, I have a boyfriend. Some places you will not be able to do so, right? And it is about balance, and it's where do you feel better, right? But at the end of the day, I remember, why exactly do I go to Mass, right? One thing that I go for is to connect with the divine. I cannot explain what I felt when I went to St. Thomas Aquinas. The smell of the incense, the choir singing, the ashes being distributed. Boom, it's there. There's something that happens, right? And I just don't know what it is. It's that point where you feel that you're being handed that glass of water. You take a sip of water and you can continue the road. That's the feeling that was the stuff that I was trying to protect, right? Don't take me away from the church. Maybe I always knew that there was nothing wrong with those two things being together, sexuality and religion. But sometimes it's hard to verbalize it. Through all these experiences and all these conversations, right? You'll learn how to explain to people, well, let me just explain you this stuff, right? This is important for me. And I think by doing that, then you teach someone else that is completely disconnected from the group. There are people who happen to be queer and happen to want to go to a mosque or to a church or to a synagogue, and that's fine, right?